Chapter 1. A World at War. The year is 1945. The world is in chaos. For 6 long years, nations have been fighting. Cities are in ruins. Families are torn apart. Everywhere, people suffer. Japan stands alone in the Pacific. Its soldiers refuse to give up. They fight bravely but desperately. On land, in the air, and at sea, the battles are fierce. Many lives are lost every day. Still, Japan does not surrender. The Allies, led by the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union, plan their next move. They want to end the war quickly. But how? The leaders are tired of bloodshed. An invasion of Japan could cost millions of lives. Soldiers and civilians would die. The world watches and waits. People hope for peace. They want the fighting to stop. But no one knows how or when the war will end. In America, something secret is happening. Scientists and engineers work together in hidden laboratories. Their project has a strange name, the Manhattan Project. Only a few people know about it. The goal is clear. Build a new kind of weapon. A weapon so powerful that it can destroy an entire city. The scientists use advanced technology. They split atoms to release massive energy. This is the atomic bomb. In July 1945, the first bomb is tested in the desert of New Mexico. The explosion is terrifying. A huge fireball lights up the sky. The ground shakes for miles. One scientist whispers, "Now we are all sons of destruction." Others stand in silence. They know the world has changed forever. President Harry Truman hears the news. The bomb is ready. He faces a terrible choice. Should he use it? If he does, thousands will die. But if he doesn't, the war might go on for years. More people will suffer. Truman consults his advisors. They tell him Japan will never surrender. They argue the bomb will save lives in the long run. The president thinks deeply. He feels the weight of the decision. Finally, he gives the order. The bomb will be used. On the other side of the world, in Japan, life continues. In the city of Hiroshima, people wake up early. It is August 6th, 1945. The sky is clear, the air warm. Workers head to factories. Children play in the streets. Housewives prepare breakfast. No one knows what is coming. At 8:15 a.m., a single plane appears in the sky. It is a B-29 bomber, named the Enola Gay. It flies high, almost invisible. A bomb falls silently from the plane. It takes only seconds to reach the ground. Then, an explosion. A flash brighter than the sun. A heat wave spreads out, melting everything in its path. Buildings collapse. Fires erupt everywhere. People scream, run, and fall. The city is turned to ashes in an instant. The pilot of the Enola Gay, Paul Tibbets, looks back at the explosion. He sees a massive mushroom cloud rising into the sky. He feels pride and horror at the same time. "What have we done?" one of his crew members whispers. On the ground, survivors are in shock. Their homes are gone. Their families are gone. Many are badly burned. They wander through the ruins looking for help. But help does not come quickly. Hospitals are destroyed. Doctors are dead. The city is silent, except for the cries of the injured. News of the bombing spreads quickly. The world is stunned. Some people cheer, thinking the war will end. Others are horrified. They wonder how humans could create such a terrible weapon. But Japan does not surrender. Leaders there do not understand what has happened. They think Hiroshima was hit by a very large bomb. They do not realize the true power of the atomic bomb. 3 days later, on August 9th, another bomb is dropped. This time, the target is Nagasaki. The destruction is just as terrible. Thousands more lives are lost. Japan can no longer fight. Its leaders know they must give up. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito speaks to the nation. It is the first time the people hear his voice. He announces that Japan will surrender. The war is over, but the world will never be the same again. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki changed history. They showed the world the horrors of nuclear weapons. They ended one of the deadliest wars in history. But they left deep scars on the survivors and their cities. This is only the beginning of the story. What happened next will teach us about the strength of the human spirit and the importance of peace. Chapter 2. The Manhattan Project. The year is 1939. War has broken out in Europe. Scientists warn that Germany might be building a new, deadly weapon. It is based on splitting atoms, the smallest building blocks of matter. This idea terrifies many. If it works, the weapon could destroy entire cities. In the United States, scientists act quickly. A group of brilliant minds comes together. They are physicists, chemists, and engineers. Many are refugees who fled from Europe. They want to stop the Nazis. President Franklin D. Roosevelt hears their concerns. He decides to fund the secret project. It is called the Manhattan Project. The goal? To build an atomic bomb before Germany can. The project begins in secrecy. Few people know it exists. Even those working on it do not fully understand the goal. The government hides the labs in remote locations: Oak Ridge, Tennessee; Los Alamos, New Mexico; Hanford, Washington. These places become hubs of activity. Scientists work day and night. They split atoms, releasing enormous energy. They study uranium and plutonium, rare materials that can fuel the bomb. Each discovery brings them closer to their goal. But progress is slow. The work is dangerous. Small mistakes can cause explosions. Some scientists grow frustrated. Others feel excited. They believe they are making history. At the center of it all is J. Robert Oppenheimer. He is a brilliant physicist. He leads the team at Los Alamos. People call him the father of the atomic bomb. Oppenheimer feels proud of his work, but deep down, he is troubled. He knows the bomb will cause great destruction. In 1942, construction begins on a giant test site in New Mexico. It is called the Trinity Site. This is where the first atomic bomb will be tested. Soldiers and scientists build towers and bunkers. They prepare for the day when the bomb will explode. By 1945, the bomb is ready. The scientists have succeeded. But they need to test it. They must know if it works. The date is set, July 16th, 1945. That morning, the desert is quiet. The sun has not yet risen. Soldiers and scientists gather miles away from the bomb. Some wear dark glasses to protect their eyes. Others hide in trenches, nervous but excited. The countdown begins. 10, 9, 8. At 0, the bomb detonates. The explosion is unlike anything ever seen before. A blinding flash lights up the sky. For a moment, it feels like day has come early. Then, a massive fireball rises. It turns into a mushroom cloud, towering miles into the air. The ground shakes violently. A shock wave races through the desert. Some scientists cheer. They know the test is a success. Others stand in silence. One man says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." His words come from an ancient text, but they feel fitting. The power they have unleashed is terrifying. News of the test reaches President Harry Truman. He is at a conference in Germany with other Allied leaders. When he hears the bomb is ready, he feels relieved. He believes this weapon can end the war quickly. But it is a heavy burden. He must decide if the bomb will be used. Back in the U.S., not everyone celebrates the success of the Manhattan Project. Some scientists feel regret. They fear the bomb will kill too many innocent people. They wonder if they have done the right thing. One scientist, Leo Szilard, writes a letter to Truman. He asks the president to think carefully. He suggests demonstrating the bomb's power in an empty area. But Truman does not listen. The decision is made. In Japan, the people have no idea what is coming. They know the war is going badly. Food is scarce. Bombs fall on cities almost every day. But they cannot imagine the destruction that awaits them. Meanwhile, the bomb is prepared for its journey. 2 bombs, actually. One made of uranium, called Little Boy. The other made of plutonium, called Fat Man. Both are loaded onto planes. The pilots are given secret instructions. The Manhattan Project has achieved its goal. But at what cost? Thousands of people worked on the bomb. Many sacrificed their health and their peace of mind. Some feel proud. Others feel ashamed. All know they have changed the world forever. The atomic bomb is ready. The next chapter will be written in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But the story of the Manhattan Project will never be forgotten. It is a story of science, ambition, and the terrible power of human invention. Chapter 3. A Terrible Choice. It is summer 1945. The war in Europe is over. Germany has surrendered. But in the Pacific, the battle rages on. Japan fights fiercely. Its soldiers are prepared to die rather than surrender. The war seems endless. President Harry Truman sits in his office. Papers cover his desk. Maps of Japan are spread out in front of him. His advisors stand nearby. They speak in low voices. The topic is grim: how to end the war. The Allies have 2 options. One is to invade Japan. This means sending thousands of soldiers to fight on Japanese soil. It will be a long and bloody battle. Many soldiers will die. Japanese civilians will suffer too. The cost will be enormous. The other option is new and terrifying: the atomic bomb, a weapon so powerful it can destroy an entire city in seconds. It has never been used in war. No one fully understands what will happen. But it might end the war quickly. Truman must choose. His advisors argue. Military leaders support the bomb. They say it will save lives in the long run. No invasion, no long battles, just one strike to force Japan to surrender. Some advisors are unsure. They worry about the bomb's power. What if it kills too many innocent people? What if it starts a dangerous new arms race? One man suggests showing the bomb's power in an empty area. He hopes this will make Japan surrender without killing anyone. But others say no. They believe Japan will not give up unless it feels the full force of the bomb. Truman listens carefully. He asks many questions. He wants to make the right decision. He thinks about the soldiers who would die in an invasion. He also thinks about the Japanese people. He knows the bomb will bring unimaginable destruction. Truman writes in his diary, "I have to decide, but this is the hardest decision of my life." He cannot sleep. The weight of the war rests on his shoulders. The next day, Truman meets his closest advisors again. He asks, "If we invade, how many will die?" A general answers, "At least 1 million." The number shocks him. He looks out the window. The sun is shining, but Truman feels cold inside. Finally, he speaks. His voice is firm, but heavy with sadness. "We will use the bomb." The order is given. Scientists and military officers begin to prepare. 2 bombs are ready. One is made of uranium. It is called Little Boy. The other is made of plutonium. It is called Fat Man. They are carefully loaded onto planes. Targets are chosen: Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These cities are major industrial centers. Destroying them will weaken Japan's ability to fight. Meanwhile, the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki live their daily lives. They know the war is not going well. Food is scarce. Air raids happen often, but they do not know that their cities have been chosen. They do not know what is coming. Truman travels to Germany for the Potsdam Conference. He meets with British and Soviet leaders. Together, they issue a warning to Japan. The message is clear: surrender or face total destruction. But Japan does not surrender. Its leaders believe they can still win. They prepare for a final battle. They think the Allies will invade. They do not expect the bomb. As the days pass, Truman waits anxiously. He knows the bomb will soon be used. He hopes it will bring the war to an end. But deep down, he feels uneasy. He wonders if he has made the right choice. In his diary, he writes again, "I pray that this terrible weapon will save lives, but I fear the destruction it will cause." August 6, 1945. The day has come. A B-29 bomber named Enola Gay takes off from an island in the Pacific. Its mission is secret. Only the crew knows what they are carrying. The bomb is armed. The pilot, Paul Tibbets, feels the weight of his task. He knows this flight will change history. The city below is peaceful. People go about their morning routines. Workers head to factories. Children laugh and play. They have no idea that death is flying towards them. At 8:15 a.m., The bomb is dropped. It falls silently, unnoticed. Then, a flash, a fireball, an explosion that shakes the earth. Truman receives the news later that day. Hiroshima is gone. The bomb worked. But the loss of life is staggering. Tens of thousands are dead. The city is in ruins. The president feels conflicted. He knows this could end the war, but at what cost? He turns to his advisors. If Japan does not surrender, use the second bomb. 3 days later, on August 9th, a second bomb is dropped, this time on Nagasaki. The destruction is just as terrible. More lives are lost. Japan is devastated. On August 15th, Japan surrenders. The war is over. Truman's decision has brought peace, but it has also unleashed a new kind of fear. The world now knows the power of the atomic bomb. Truman looks out the window of his office. He sees people celebrating in the streets, but he does not feel joy. He thinks of the lives lost in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He wonders if history will judge him harshly. Chapter 4. Hiroshima, the first target. It is August 6th, 1945. The morning begins like any other in Hiroshima. The sun rises over the city. The streets are busy with workers and children. Men and women head to factories and offices. Shops open their doors. Life goes on, even during wartime. The city seems peaceful, but beneath the calm, there is tension. People know the war is not going well. Many cities in Japan have already been bombed. Hiroshima, however, has been spared so far. People wonder why. They feel both lucky and uneasy. In the skies over Hiroshima, a single plane approaches. It is a B-29 bomber called the Enola Gay. The crew is silent. They know their mission is unlike any other. Inside the plane is a weapon that will change the world. A bomb named Little Boy. The pilot, Paul Tibbets, checks his instruments. His heart races. He knows what will happen when the bomb is dropped. He knows the destruction it will cause. But orders are orders. He tells his crew to prepare. Below, the people of Hiroshima go about their day. Children laugh as they play in the parks. Mothers hang laundry to dry in the summer sun. Workers in factories focus on their machines. They do not look up. They do not see the plane flying high above them. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb is released. It falls silently through the air. No one notices. Seconds pass. Then, a flash. The sky lights up with a blinding white light. It is brighter than the sun. For a moment, everything seems to stop. People freeze, confused and scared. Then comes the explosion. A fireball engulfs the city. The heat is unimaginable. Buildings collapse instantly. A shockwave tears through the streets, knocking people to the ground. Fires start everywhere, spreading quickly. The sound is deafening. Those close to the center of the explosion vanish in an instant. The heat is so intense that it leaves shadows burned into walls. Further away, people are thrown by the blast. Many are badly burned. Their clothes and skin are scorched. They cry out for help, but no one answers. The destruction is total. Hiroshima is turned into a wasteland. What was once a busy, lively city is now a field of rubble and ash. The crew of the Enola Gay looks back at the explosion. They see a massive mushroom cloud rising into the sky. It is dark and terrifying, towering miles above the earth. One crew member whispers, "What have we done?" On the ground, the survivors begin to move. They are dazed and injured. Some wander the streets, searching for loved ones. Others sit silently, staring at the ruins. A mother calls out for her child, but there is no answer. A boy, his face burned, cries for his parents. The air is filled with smoke and the smell of burning. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Doctors and nurses work tirelessly, but there are too many injured. Supplies run out quickly. Many die waiting for help. Others suffer from strange symptoms, vomiting, hair loss, and burns that do not heal. No one understands what is happening. News of the bombing spreads slowly. In Tokyo, government officials are stunned. They do not believe a single bomb could cause such destruction. They think Hiroshima was hit by many bombs. They do not yet know the truth. For those who survived the blast, the nightmare is just beginning. Fires rage through the city for hours. The heat is unbearable. Survivors search for water, but the rivers are filled with debris. Some try to escape the city, but the roads are blocked by rubble. A girl named Akiko walks through the ruins. She is 10 years old. Her clothes are burned, and her hands are blistered. She calls for her mother, but hears only silence. She finds her home, or what is left of it. The roof has collapsed, and the walls are gone. Tears stream down her face. A man named Hiroshi helps an injured stranger. His own leg is bleeding, but he does not stop. He carries the woman to a nearby school. The building is full of people seeking shelter. Hiroshi lays her down and looks around. The room is filled with cries of pain. By evening, Hiroshima is unrecognizable. The fires have died down, but the city is gone. The survivors are exhausted and afraid. They do not know what has happened. They do not know that an atomic bomb has been dropped. Miles away, in the military command center, a message is received. Mission successful. Hiroshima destroyed. The officers read the report in silence. They know this is only the beginning. The next day, rescue teams arrive in Hiroshima. They are shocked by what they see. Bodies lie in the streets. The survivors are weak and sick. The rescuers try to help, but there is little they can do. The destruction is too great. In the weeks that follow, the full impact of the bombing becomes clear. Tens of thousands are dead. Many more will die from their injuries and from radiation sickness. The survivors, known as hibakusha, face a long and difficult road ahead. The bombing of Hiroshima is a turning point in history. It shows the world the power of the atomic bomb. It ends one chapter of the war, but begins another. The story of Hiroshima is not just about destruction. It is also about survival. It is about the strength of the human spirit. Chapter 5. The Firestorm. It happens in an instant. A blinding flash lights up the sky over Hiroshima. The air turns to fire. The ground shakes violently. For a moment, there is silence. Then, chaos. The bomb explodes with unimaginable force. A fireball, hotter than the sun, engulfs the city. Everything near the center of the blast is destroyed. Buildings crumble like paper. Cars melt into puddles of metal. Trees burst into flames. People close to the explosion disappear in an instant. Their shadows are burned into walls and sidewalks. Further away, the heat burns skin and clothing. Many are thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. They look around, confused and terrified. Akiko, a young girl, lies in the rubble. She cannot hear anything. Her ears are ringing from the explosion. She opens her eyes. The sky is dark, filled with thick black smoke. She sees people running, their clothes burned, their faces covered in ash. Some are crying. Others are silent, their faces frozen in shock. Fires rage across the city. Wooden houses burn quickly, fueling the flames. The fire spreads from street to street. The heat is unbearable. People try to escape, but there is nowhere to go. The roads are blocked by debris. The rivers are crowded with people desperate for water. Many do not survive. Hiroshi, a factory worker, stumbles through the ruins. His arm is badly burned, but he does not stop. He looks for his wife and daughter. He calls their names, but there is no answer. He passes a man lying on the ground. The man's face is red and swollen. "Help me," the man whispers. Hiroshi hesitates, then kneels down to help. The explosion destroys more than buildings. It destroys lives. Tens of thousands are killed in seconds. Those who survive are left with terrible injuries. Skin hangs in strips from their bodies. Burns cover their arms, legs, and faces. They cry out for help, but there is no one to answer. In the center of the city, a woman searches for her child. She picks through the rubble with her hands, ignoring the pain of her burns. "Where are you?" she cries. Her voice echoes through the ruins. But there is no response. The air is filled with smoke and ash. Breathing becomes difficult. The sun is hidden behind the dark cloud rising from the city. It looks like a giant mushroom, stretching high into the sky. People stop and stare at it. They have never seen anything like this before. What has just happened? Rescue teams are slow to arrive. The roads are destroyed, and communication is cut off. The survivors must help each other. Some share water. Others tear strips of cloth to bandage wounds. They try to comfort the injured, but there is little they can do. The suffering is too great. The fires burn for hours. They consume everything in their path. A strong wind spreads the flames even faster. The heat is so intense that metal melts. People try to escape by jumping into the rivers, but the water is boiling hot. Many do not survive. Akiko finds shelter under a fallen piece of wall. She holds her knees to her chest and rocks back and forth. Her burns sting, and her throat is dry. She does not cry. She is too scared. Around her, she hears the moans of the injured. The city she knew is gone. Hiroshi reaches the edge of the city. He is covered in ash, his burns raw and bleeding. He carries the injured man he found earlier. They collapse under a tree, gasping for air. Hiroshi looks back at the city. It is a sea of fire. He whispers, "Why? Why did this happen?" The survivors are called hibakusha. They are the ones who lived through the firestorm. But their suffering is not over. In the days that follow, many fall sick. They vomit and lose their hair. Their burns do not heal. No one understands why. They do not know about radiation. The hospitals are destroyed. Doctors and nurses do their best to help, but they are overwhelmed. Supplies run out quickly. Some patients die while waiting for treatment. Others cling to life, hoping for a miracle. The city is silent now. The fires have burned out. The streets are filled with rubble. Bodies lie everywhere, some buried under collapsed buildings. The smell of smoke and death hangs in the air. Hiroshima is no longer a city. It is a wasteland. But even in this destruction, there are moments of kindness. Survivors help each other, sharing what little they have. A mother finds a lost child and takes him in as her own. A group of men carries an elderly woman to safety. These small acts of humanity shine like light in the darkness. News of the bombing spreads slowly. In Tokyo, officials are shocked. They cannot believe that one bomb caused so much destruction. They think it must have been many bombs dropped at once. They do not yet understand the power of the atomic bomb. In the United States, President Truman receives a report. The bomb worked. Hiroshima is destroyed. The war may soon be over. But at what cost? Truman feels both relief and sorrow. He knows the world has changed forever. For the people of Hiroshima, life will never be the same. The survivors carry physical and emotional scars. They mourn their loved ones. They wonder why their city was chosen. They try to rebuild, but it will take years. The firestorm of Hiroshima is a warning to the world. It shows the devastating power of the atomic bomb. It reminds us of the cost of war, and it raises questions we are still trying to answer. Was it necessary? Could it have been avoided? Before we begin Chapter 6, a quick note for our listeners. You're currently listening to this audiobook on WooEnglish. Remember, this content is specially made for WooEnglish listeners only. If you're hearing it on any other channel, it may be a violation of WooEnglish's rights. Please ensure you're tuned into the right source to fully enjoy and respect this audiobook journey. Now let's continue the story. Chapter 6, Voices of the Survivors. The city is silent now. Smoke rises from the ruins of Hiroshima. The fires have burned out, but the streets are filled with ash and rubble. The survivors begin to move. They are weak, injured, and afraid. Each step feels heavy. Their faces are pale. Their eyes filled with shock. Among them is Akiko. She is 10 years old. Her arms are burned and her clothes are torn. She walks barefoot through the ruins, calling for her mother. "Mama! Mama!" Her voice is small, almost a whisper, but there is no answer. She stops and looks around. The streets she once knew are gone. Everything is destroyed. Nearby, a boy named Kenji sits on the ground. He is 13 years old. His face is badly burned and his skin is blistered. He holds his arm close to his chest, trying not to cry. "Help me," he whispers, but no one stops. The people around him are too injured, too lost to notice. Kenji looks up at the sky. It is dark, filled with smoke. He wonders if the sun will ever shine again. He remembers his father's words that morning. "Be strong, my son. We will get through this." But his father is gone now. Kenji is alone. Hiroshi, a factory worker, searches the rubble for his wife and daughter. His burns are severe, but he does not care. He lifts pieces of wood and concrete, calling their names. "Aya! Yumi! Where are you?" His voice cracks with desperation. He finds a shoe, small and familiar. It belongs to his daughter. Tears run down his face. Hiroshi hears a sound nearby. It is faint, but he follows it. Under a collapsed wall, he sees a hand. He pulls at the debris, his heart pounding. He uncovers a woman. It is his wife, Aya. She's alive but badly injured. She opens her eyes and whispers, "Yumi?" Hiroshi holds her close. He promises to find their daughter. Not far away, an old man named Takashi sits in the rubble of what was once his home. His hands shake as he holds a photo of his family. His wife, his son, and his grandson. They are all gone. He is the only one left. "Why did I survive?" he asks the empty air. There is no answer. Takashi looks around. He sees a young boy crying. The boy is covered in ash, his clothes burned. Takashi gets up slowly and walks to the boy. "Come with me," he says gently. He takes the boy's hand and leads him to safety. Takashi does not know the boy's name, but he feels he must help. It is the only thing he can do. In a makeshift shelter, people gather. It is a school that has somehow survived the blast. The rooms are crowded with injured survivors. Some sit on the floor, their heads in their hands. Others lie on blankets, too weak to move. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and blood. A woman named Sachiko tends to the injured. Her own burns are covered with a piece of cloth, but she ignores the pain. She moves from person to person, offering water and comfort. She kneels beside an elderly woman whose legs are badly burned. "Drink this," Sachiko says, holding a cup of water to the woman's lips. The woman looks at her and whispers, "Thank you." Outside the city, rescue teams finally arrive. Soldiers and doctors work together to help the survivors. But the destruction is overwhelming. There are too many injured, too many dead. The rescuers do what they can. They carry people on stretchers and give them food and water. But supplies are limited. Many do not survive. One rescuer finds a young girl lying in the rubble. Her eyes are closed, and she is barely breathing. He picks her up gently and carries her to the nearest shelter. She opens her eyes for a moment and says, "My brother, is he safe?" The rescuer does not know what to say. He holds her hand and promises to look for him. Days pass, but the suffering does not end. The survivors face new horrors. Many fall sick with strange symptoms. They vomit, lose their hair, and feel weak. The doctors do not know what is causing it. They have never seen anything like this before. It is the invisible poison of radiation. Kenji, the boy with the burned face, sits in a corner of the shelter. He cannot eat or drink. He feels colder each day, even though the sun is shining outside. A doctor kneels beside him and touches his hand. "Stay strong," the doctor says. But Kenji does not respond. He closes his eyes, too tired to speak. Akiko, the 10-year-old girl, finds her way to the river. She sees people lying on the banks, their faces turned to the water. Some are alive, some are not. Akiko kneels beside a woman who is barely breathing. The woman opens her eyes and says, "Take this." She hands Akiko a small locket. Inside is a photo of a smiling family. "Promise me, you will remember us," the woman whispers. Then she is gone. Akiko holds the locket tightly. She does not understand why this is happening, but she feels the weight of the woman's words. She promises to remember. Hiroshi finds his daughter, Yumi, in a field outside the city. She is alive but weak. Her hair is falling out and her skin is pale. Hiroshi carries her to the shelter where his wife is resting. Aya smiles when she sees Yumi. For a moment they feel hope. They are together again. But they know the road ahead will be hard. The voices of the survivors are filled with pain and loss. But they are also filled with courage. In the darkest hour, they find ways to help each other. They share water, food, and kindness. They hold on to hope even when it seems impossible. The survivors, known as Hibakusha, will carry their stories for the rest of their lives. Their voices remind the world of what happened in Hiroshima. They remind us of the cost of war and the strength of the human spirit. Chapter 7. Nagasaki, a second blow. It is August 9th, 1945. The morning begins like any other in Nagasaki. The sky is partly cloudy. Workers head to factories. Fishermen prepare their boats. Children play outside. The city seems peaceful, but the war is always on their minds. Many people have heard about Hiroshima. News of the bombing has spread, though details are unclear. Some worry their city could be next. Others think it is impossible. They tell themselves, Nagasaki is safe. In the early hours, a B-29 bomber takes off from an airbase. It carries a bomb called Fat Man. The crew knows their mission. They must deliver the second atomic bomb. Their target is Nagasaki. The plane approaches the city. Clouds cover the area, making it hard to see. The pilot almost turns back, but then a break in the clouds. He sees the city below. The bomb is released. At 11:02 a.m., the bomb explodes. A blinding flash lights up the sky. The air fills with fire. The ground shakes violently. The explosion is even more powerful than the one in Hiroshima. Buildings collapse in an instant. A factory near the center of the blast is flattened. Workers inside do not have time to scream. Homes and schools are turned to rubble. Fires erupt everywhere, spreading quickly. Yuki, a young mother, is feeding her baby when the explosion happens. She is thrown across the room. Her house collapses around her. Dust fills the air. She coughs and struggles to stand. Her baby is crying. She searches through the rubble and finds him, alive but covered in ash. She holds him close, tears streaming down her face. Hiro, a fisherman, is on his boat when the bomb falls. The blast knocks him into the water. When he surfaces, he sees the city on fire. Thick black smoke rises into the sky. He swims to shore, his heart pounding. "What has happened?" he whispers. The destruction is unimaginable. Thousands are killed instantly. Those who survive are left with terrible injuries. Burns cover their bodies. Skin hangs from their arms and legs. Many wander the streets, dazed and bleeding. A boy named Koji limps through the ruins. His clothes are burned and his face is blistered. He calls for his mother, but there is no answer. He finds a woman sitting on the ground. Her hands are burned and she is holding something tightly. Koji realizes it is a shoe. The woman looks at him and says, "This was my daughter's." She starts to cry. Fires rage across the city. The heat is unbearable. People run in all directions trying to escape. Some jump into the river, desperate for relief. Others dig through the rubble, searching for loved ones. In a temple that has survived the blast, survivors gather. They are injured and weak, but they try to help one another. A monk gives water to an elderly man whose burns are severe. The man whispers, "Thank you," before closing his eyes forever. By evening, Nagasaki is a wasteland. The fires have died down, but the city is destroyed. Bodies lie in the streets. The smell of smoke and death fills the air. Survivors sit in silence, too shocked to cry. They wonder if this is the end of the world. Rescue teams arrive the next day. They are horrified by what they see. They do their best to help, but the injuries are too severe. Many survivors die from their burns. Others begin to show strange symptoms: vomiting, hair loss, and weakness. The rescuers do not understand. They do not know about radiation. Yuki holds her baby tightly as she sits in a makeshift shelter. Her burns are bandaged, but the pain is still there. She looks around at the other survivors. A man is crying softly. A child is sleeping, her face pale. Yuki whispers, "We will survive. We must survive." Hiro returns to his boat, but it is badly damaged. He looks out at the sea, hoping to escape the nightmare, but he cannot leave. His heart tells him to stay and help. He gathers food and water from his supplies and shares it with the survivors. It is a small act of kindness in a time of great suffering. The city mourns its dead. Families are torn apart. Parents look for children. Children look for parents. Many never find them. They are left with questions and memories. Koji, the young boy, finds his mother's body in the rubble. He sits beside her and holds her hand. I will make you proud, he whispers. His voice is steady, but tears fall from his eyes. For Japan, the bombing of Nagasaki is a devastating blow. The government knows it cannot continue the war. The destruction is too great. The suffering is too much. The leaders make a decision. They will surrender. On August 15th, just 6 days after the bombing of Nagasaki, Emperor Hirohito speaks to the nation. His voice is calm, but filled with sorrow. He tells the people that the war is over. We must endure the unendurable, he says. The words are heavy, but they bring an end to the fighting. The survivors of Nagasaki, like those in Hiroshima, are known as hibakusha. They carry the scars of that day, both on their bodies and in their hearts. They tell their stories so the world will not forget. They hope no one will ever experience such pain again. Yuki raises her son in the years after the bombing. She teaches him about kindness and strength. Hiro rebuilds his boat and continues to fish. He always leaves a small offering in the sea for those who were lost. Koji grows up and becomes a teacher. He tells his students about the day the sky burned, hoping they will learn from the past. The story of Nagasaki is a story of destruction, but it is also a story of resilience. The people who survived showed courage and strength in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Their voices remind us of the cost of war and the importance of peace. Chapter 8. The War Ends. It is August 15th, 1945. A strange silence falls over Japan. Families gather around their radios. They listen carefully, waiting for the voice of Emperor Hirohito. For many, it is the first time they will hear him speak. The war has lasted for years. It has brought pain and loss to every corner of the country. Bombs have fallen on cities. Food is scarce. Many loved ones are gone. But today, the people sense that something is different. The emperor's voice is calm and steady. He tells the nation that the war is over. Japan will surrender to the Allies. We must endure the unendurable, he says. His words are heavy with sorrow. For many, they bring both relief and heartbreak. Some cry quietly, thinking of the lives lost. Others sit in silence, their faces pale. A mother holds her child close. A soldier bows his head. The fighting is over, but the cost has been too great. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the news spreads slowly. The survivors are still trying to understand what has happened. They are too weak to celebrate. They have lost too much. Akiko, the young girl from Hiroshima, hears the announcement in a shelter. Her burns are healing, but she is still in pain. She looks at the other survivors. Some nod quietly. Others stare into the distance. Akiko does not know what peace will mean for her, but she feels a small flicker of hope. Across the world, people celebrate the end of the war. In the United States, crowds gather in the streets. They wave flags and sing songs. Soldiers embrace their families. People cheer and laugh. For them, it is a time of joy. But even in the celebrations, there is sadness. Many remember the lives lost. They think of the soldiers who will never return home. They think of the cities destroyed. The victory feels hollow. The world will never be the same. In Tokyo, leaders sign the official documents of surrender. It is September 2nd, 1945. The ceremony takes place aboard the USS Missouri, an American battleship. Japanese officials bow their heads as they sign. Allied leaders watch in silence. General Douglas MacArthur, the Supreme Allied Commander, declares, "These proceedings are closed. The war is officially over. For the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the end of the war does not end their suffering. They carry the scars of the bombings both on their bodies and in their hearts. Many struggle with illnesses caused by radiation. Others mourn the loss of their families and homes." In Nagasaki, Yuki cradles her baby. She survived, but her husband did not. She whispers to her son, "We must be strong. We will rebuild." Her words are brave, but tears fall from her eyes. Hiro, the fisherman, helps clear the rubble in his village. His hands are blistered and his back aches, but he keeps working. He says to himself, "If we stop, who will rebuild? This is our home." In Hiroshima, Takashi, the old man, visits the spot where his house once stood. It is gone, reduced to ash. He kneels on the ground and prays for his family. "I will honor you," he whispers. He decides to stay in the city and help others who are suffering. Akiko returns to school months later. Her burns are still visible, and her hair has not grown back. She feels shy and afraid. But her teacher smiles at her and says, "You are brave, Akiko. You survived. That is something to be proud of." Akiko sits at her desk and opens her book. She knows she has a long journey ahead. In the months after the war, the world begins to rebuild. Japan is in ruins. Cities are destroyed. Millions are homeless. Food is scarce. But the people are resilient. They start to repair their homes and grow crops. They try to heal. The United States helps with the rebuilding. They bring supplies and food. They send doctors to treat the injured. They also write a new constitution for Japan. It focuses on peace and democracy. Japan is no longer allowed to have an army. The hope is to prevent another war. The scars of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain. The cities are forever changed. But the people show incredible strength. They rebuild their homes, their schools, their lives. They plant flowers and trees in the empty spaces. Slowly, the cities begin to come back to life. In Hiroshima, a peace memorial is built. It is a reminder of the destruction and a symbol of hope. Every year, people gather there to remember the victims. They light lanterns and send them down the river. Each lantern carries a message of peace. In Nagasaki, survivors share their stories. They talk about the day the bomb fell. They talk about the pain and loss. But they also talk about kindness and courage. They say, "We must tell the world what happened. We must work for peace." The end of the war marks a new beginning for the world. But it is a world forever changed. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki show the devastating power of nuclear weapons. They remind humanity of the cost of war. Leaders from around the world meet to discuss peace. They form the United Nations. an organization meant to prevent future wars. They talk about banning nuclear weapons. But tensions remain. The shadow of the bomb hangs over the world. For the survivors, life goes on. Yuki raises her son and teaches him about kindness. Hiro continues to fish and help his neighbors. Takashi becomes a storyteller, sharing the lessons of Hiroshima with children. Akiko grows up and becomes a nurse, helping others who are in pain. Their stories remind us of the strength of the human spirit. They show us that even in the darkest times, there is hope. The war is over, but the memories of Hiroshima and Nagasaki will never fade. They stand as a warning to the world, a reminder that peace is precious and must be protected. Chapter 9. Aftermath and Ashes. The bombs have fallen. The fires have burned out. But the pain is far from over. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are in ruins. The survivors, known as hibakusha, begin to rebuild their lives. Yet, for many, survival is only the beginning of their struggle. The streets of Hiroshima are silent. The city looks like a desert. Buildings are gone, turned to rubble and ash. Trees are blackened, their branches bare. The river flows quietly, carrying debris from the ruins. Survivors walk slowly through the streets, searching for anything they can use. In Nagasaki, the scene is the same. The blast left a deep scar on the land. Where homes and schools once stood, there is now emptiness. The ground is scorched. The air smells of smoke and death. It is hard to imagine life returning to these places. The hibakusha suffer in many ways. Their burns are deep and painful. Some have lost their eyesight. Others are too weak to move. But there is something worse, an invisible danger they cannot see. Radiation sickness begins to appear. Survivors feel tired and weak. They vomit and lose their hair. Some develop strange sores on their skin. Many die in the weeks and months after the bombings. Doctors do not know how to treat this new illness. They try their best, but they can only watch as more lives are lost. Akiko, the young girl from Hiroshima, sits in a hospital. Her burns are healing slowly, but her hair is falling out. She looks at her reflection in a small mirror. She barely recognizes herself. Tears fill her eyes, but she wipes them away. She tells herself, "I must be strong." In the shelters, the survivors share their stories. They talk about what they have lost. A man says he lost his entire family. A woman says she cannot find her son. Their voices are filled with sorrow. But there are also stories of kindness, people helping each other, sharing food, water, and hope. Takashi, the old man from Hiroshima, becomes a storyteller. He gathers children around him and talks about the day the bomb fell. He does not speak of anger or revenge. Instead, he tells them about courage and love. "We must remember," he says, "but we must also forgive." Months pass, and the seasons change. Spring comes to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Green shoots begin to grow in the blackened soil. Flowers bloom in the cracks of the rubble. People see this as a sign. Life is returning. Hope is not lost. Hiro, the fisherman from Nagasaki, repairs his boat. It is not easy, but he does not give up. He wants to return to the sea. The sea is life, he says, and life must go on. One day, he catches a large fish. He shares it with his neighbors. It is a small feast, but it feels like a victory. The rebuilding of the cities begins slowly. Volunteers come from other parts of Japan to help. They clear rubble and build new homes. Schools reopen. Markets return. It is hard work, but the people are determined. They want to create a future for their children. Yuki, the young mother from Nagasaki, plants a garden outside her new home. She grows vegetables to feed her son. She also plants flowers. She says, "They remind me of beauty. Even in the darkest times, beauty can survive." For many hibakusha, the emotional scars are as deep as the physical ones. They dream of the day the bomb fell. They see the faces of those they lost. Some feel guilt for surviving when so many did not. They ask themselves, why me? Koji, the boy from Nagasaki, writes a letter to his mother, even though she is gone. He writes about his life now and his hopes for the future. "I will be a good person," he writes. "I will make you proud." Around the world, people learn about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They see photos of the destruction. They hear stories from the survivors. Many are shocked. They did not understand the power of the atomic bomb. Now they see what it can do. Leaders from many countries call for peace. They say the bombings must never happen again. But tensions remain high. Nations begin to build their own atomic bombs. The shadow of nuclear war hangs over the world. Despite the challenges, the hibakusha find ways to move forward. They form groups to support each other. They share their stories, hoping to teach others about the horrors of war. They work to promote peace. Akiko grows up and becomes a nurse. She helps others who are sick or injured. She says, "I know what pain feels like. That is why I want to help." Her kindness touches many lives. Takashi travels to schools and talks to students. He tells them about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He says, "You are the future. You must make sure this never happens again." Hiroshima and Nagasaki are rebuilt, but they are not the same. The scars of the bombings remain. Monuments are built to honor the dead. Each year, people gather to remember. They light lanterns and place them in the rivers. The lanterns carry messages of peace. In Hiroshima, a single tree survived the bombing. It still stands today, a symbol of resilience. People come from all over the world to see it. They say it gives them hope. The story of the hibakusha is a story of pain and loss, but it is also a story of courage and hope. They show us that even in the darkest times, the human spirit can endure. From the ashes, they rebuild their lives. They teach us the importance of peace and the strength of forgiveness. Chapter 10. Rebuilding Hope. The war is over. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are in ruins. The people have lost so much: homes, loved ones, and their sense of safety. But they are not broken. From the ashes, they begin to rebuild. Slowly, step by step, hope returns. In Hiroshima, the streets are filled with rubble. Survivors clear the debris with their bare hands. They have no machines, only simple tools. But they work together. Neighbors help neighbors. Strangers share food and water. The spirit of community grows stronger. Akiko, the young girl who survived the bombing, watches her father rebuild their home. His hands are rough and tired, but he never stops. "We will live here again," he tells her. Akiko nods. She believes him, even though the task seems impossible. Nagasaki faces the same challenges. The city is silent at first, but soon the sound of hammers and saws fills the air. People build small huts from scrap wood. These shelters are simple, but they are a start. They give families a place to sleep, to eat, to dream again. Yuki, the young mother, plants vegetables in her garden. Her son helps her water the soil. She tells him, "These plants will grow strong, just like us." Her voice is full of determination. The rebuilding is not just about homes. Schools reopen, even though they're damaged. Children sit on the floor, sharing books and pencils. Teachers remind them that learning is the key to a better future. Koji, the boy from Nagasaki, returns to school. His burns are still healing, and he is nervous about seeing his classmates. But when he arrives, they welcome him warmly. "We are glad you're here," one boy says. Koji smiles for the first time in weeks. Factories are repaired. Workers return to their jobs. Farmers plant rice in the fields. Fishermen, like Hiro, mend their boats and go back to the sea. Each day, the cities become more alive. The people refuse to give up. They know they must keep going. In Hiroshima, something special happens. A tree begins to grow. It is near the center of the explosion, where nothing should have survived. Its branches are small, its leaves delicate, but it stands tall. The people see the tree as a symbol. If it can survive, so can they. The tree becomes famous. Visitors from around the world come to see it. They take pictures and write messages of hope. The tree inspires everyone who sees it. Memorials are built in both cities. In Hiroshima, a peace memorial rises near the center of the blast. It is a simple structure, but it carries deep meaning. Inside, the names of the victims are written. People come to pray and leave flowers. Akiko and her father visit the memorial. She stands quietly, looking at the names. "We must remember them," she says. Her father nods. "And we must make sure this never happens again." In Nagasaki, a similar memorial is built. It is a place of reflection and sorrow, but also of hope. Survivors gather there every year to honor the dead. They share their stories, ensuring the world does not forget. Yuki and her son visit the memorial one day. She points to a plaque that reads, "Peace is the only way." She says to her son, "This is why we rebuild, so that you can live in a peaceful world." The cities do not rebuild alone. Help comes from across Japan and around the world. Supplies arrive: wood, steel, food, and medicine. Doctors and engineers travel to Hiroshima and Nagasaki to assist. They work alongside the survivors, creating new homes, schools, and hospitals. The people are grateful, but they also take pride in their own efforts. They know they are rebuilding not just their cities, but their spirits. Each brick, each nail, each plant in the ground is a step toward a brighter future. Takashi, the old man from Hiroshima, becomes a leader in his community. He organizes volunteers to clean the streets and rebuild houses. He tells the younger people, "You are strong. You can do this." His words inspire them to keep working, even when the days are long and hard. Hiro, the fisherman, helps rebuild the harbor. He teaches younger men how to repair boats. He says, "The sea gives us life. We must respect it and protect it." His wisdom is passed down to the next generation. The survivors, the hibakusha, face many challenges. Some suffer from illnesses caused by radiation. Others struggle with memories of the bombings. But they support each other. They form groups to share their stories, their pain, and their hopes. Akiko joins one of these groups as she grows older. She meets other survivors and listens to their stories. She learns that she is not alone. Together, they find strength. As the years pass, Hiroshima and Nagasaki transform. New buildings rise. Parks are created. Flowers bloom where there was once only ash. Children play in the streets, their laughter filling the air. The cities are alive again. In Hiroshima, a flame burns in the Peace Memorial Park. It is called the Flame of Peace. It will burn until all nuclear weapons in the world are destroyed. People from every country come to see it. They promise to work for peace. In Nagasaki, a statue stands in a park. It shows a man pointing to the sky with one hand and extending the other in peace. It is a reminder of the past and a symbol of hope for the future. The people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki have shown incredible strength. They have rebuilt their homes, their cities, and their lives. But they have done more than that. They have shared their stories with the world. They have taught us the importance of peace. Yuki watches her son grow up. He becomes a teacher, spreading the lessons of Hiroshima and Nagasaki to his students. She feels proud, knowing that her struggles were not in vain. Koji writes a book about his experiences. He says, "We cannot change the past, but we can change the future. Let us choose peace." Akiko becomes a guide at the Peace Memorial in Hiroshima. She tells visitors about the day the bomb fell and how the city rose again. Her voice is calm, but filled with passion. "This is our story," she says, "and it is a story of hope." Hiroshima and Nagasaki are no longer just cities. They are symbols of resilience and peace. They remind us of the horrors of war, but also of the strength of the human spirit. From the ashes, they have rebuilt not just their homes, but a message for the world. Hope can grow even in the darkest times, and peace is always worth fighting for. Chapter 11. A World Forever Changed. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki shocked the world. People saw the destruction and could not believe it. Entire cities were destroyed in seconds. Tens of thousands of lives were lost. It was a power unlike anything the world had ever seen. The photographs of the ruined cities spread quickly. Charred buildings, burned bodies, survivors with scars that would never heal. These images stayed in people's minds. They could not look away. Leaders around the world were shaken. They realized the bomb had changed everything. War would never be the same. The atomic bomb was more powerful than any weapon before it. It was not just a tool for victory. It was a threat to the future of humanity. In the United States, President Harry Truman spoke to the nation. He defended the decision to use the bomb, saying it ended the war quickly. But even he was uneasy. He said, "We thank God it has come to us, and not to our enemies." Many wondered, what would happen if such power fell into the wrong hands? Other nations watched carefully. Some were fearful, others were curious. The Soviet Union, Britain, France, and later China began to develop their own nuclear weapons. They did not want to be left behind. A race began. A race to build bombs. Bigger, stronger, deadlier. By 1949, the Soviet Union had its first atomic bomb. The world held its breath. Two superpowers now had the ability to destroy each other. People wondered, what would happen if they used these weapons? The idea of a new war, a nuclear war, terrified everyone. This fear spread across the globe. In schools, children practiced hiding under desks in case of an attack. Sirens were tested in cities, warning people of possible bombings. People built shelters underground. They stored food and water, preparing for the worst. The shadow of the bomb loomed over every nation. It was a time of great fear, but also great change. The world entered a new era, the nuclear age. Leaders of nations met often to discuss peace. The United Nations, formed after World War II, became a place for these discussions. Countries spoke of reducing their weapons, but trust was hard to find. Each nation wanted to protect itself. Many believed peace was only possible through strength. The U.S. and the Soviet Union, in particular, viewed each other with suspicion. They built more weapons. They tested bombs underground and in the ocean. Each wanted to prove they were stronger. Each wanted to show the world that they could not be defeated. In 1962, the world came close to disaster. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a tense moment in history. The United States discovered Soviet missiles in Cuba just 90 miles from its coast. For 13 days, the world waited. Would there be war? Would nuclear bombs be used? Leaders on both sides finally reached an agreement. The missiles were removed. War was avoided. But the fear did not disappear. People realized how close they had come to destruction. They knew it could happen again. At the same time, people began to speak out. Scientists, artists, and survivors from Hiroshima and Nagasaki called for an end to nuclear weapons. They said the bombs were too dangerous. They argued that no one should have the power to destroy entire cities. Survivors of the bombings, known as hibakusha, shared their stories with the world. They spoke of pain, loss, and hope. Akiko, a survivor from Hiroshima, traveled to many countries. She told people, "We must never forget what happened. We must never let it happen again." In 1968, the world took a step toward peace. A treaty was signed. It was called the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT. Countries agreed to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. They promised to work toward disarmament. It was a hopeful moment, but challenges remained. Some nations did not sign the treaty. Others continued to build weapons in secret. The fear of nuclear war did not go away. The shadow of the bomb remained. As the years passed, more people joined the movement for peace. They marched in the streets, holding signs that said, "No more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki." They wrote letters to leaders, urging them to destroy their weapons. They called for a world without bombs. In Hiroshima, a special flame burns in the Peace Memorial Park. It is called the Flame of Peace. It will continue to burn until all nuclear weapons are destroyed. Each year, people gather there to remember the victims. They light lanterns and float them down the river. The lanterns carry messages of peace. In Nagasaki, survivors speak to students. They tell them about the day the bomb fell. They share their memories, even though it is painful. They say, "We tell our stories so you can learn, so you can create a better world." Yuki, a survivor from Nagasaki, often speaks to young people. She tells them, "War brings nothing but pain. We must choose peace, even when it is hard." Her words inspire many. The world has changed in many ways since 1945. Technology has advanced. Countries have grown. But the lessons of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain. They remind us of the cost of war. They remind us of the power humans hold and the responsibility that comes with it. Leaders continue to meet, discussing ways to reduce their nuclear weapons. Some have destroyed parts of their stockpiles. Others have stopped testing bombs. These are small steps, but they are important. The atomic bombings forever changed the world. They showed us the horrors of war, but they also showed us the strength of the human spirit. From the ashes of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, hope has grown. The survivors, the hibakusha, have taught us valuable lessons. They have shown us that even in the darkest times, we can find light. They remind us that peace is worth fighting for. Chapter 12. Lessons for the Future. Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are cities full of life. Children laugh in the streets. People gather in parks and markets. Flowers bloom where there was once only ash. The cities have risen from destruction, but their past is never forgotten. Every year, on August 6th and August 9th, the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki gather to remember. They hold ceremonies to honor those who died. Bells ring out, echoing through the cities. Survivors, known as hibakusha, share their stories. They speak of pain, loss, and hope. Akiko, a survivor of Hiroshima, stands before a crowd of young people. Her voice is calm but filled with emotion. "I was only a child when the bomb fell," she says. "It changed my life forever. But I survived. And now I share my story so that you can understand." The Peace Memorial Park in Hiroshima is a quiet place. It is full of trees and paths. At its center stands the atomic bomb dome. This building was one of the few that survived the explosion. Its ruins are a reminder of what happened that day. Visitors from around the world come to see the park. They stand silently by the dome. Many place flowers or light candles. Some cry. Others write messages of peace in a guest book. They leave with a deeper understanding of the horrors of war. In Nagasaki, there is also a peace park. A tall statue stands there. It shows a man with one hand pointing to the sky and the other stretched out in peace. His face is calm. He reminds visitors to reflect on the past and work for a better future. Yuki, a survivor of Nagasaki, visits the park often. She brings her grandchildren with her. She tells them, "This place is not just about sadness. It is about hope. It reminds us to choose peace, even when it is hard." The stories of Hiroshima and Nagasaki teach us many lessons. They show us the cost of war. The bombs killed tens of thousands of people in seconds. They left scars that lasted a lifetime. But they also show us the strength of the human spirit. The survivors rebuilt their cities and their lives. They turned their pain into a message for the world. One lesson is clear. We must value life. The survivors remind us that every life is precious. They say, "War destroys lives, families, and dreams. We must work to protect each other." Another lesson is the importance of understanding. The survivors speak to people from different countries. They tell their stories not with anger, but with compassion. They hope that by sharing their experiences, they can bring people together. Koji, who survived the bombing of Nagasaki as a boy, became a teacher. He tells his students, "We must learn from the past. We must listen to each other and work together. Only then can we build a peaceful world." The greatest lesson of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is the need for peace. The atomic bombings showed the world the dangers of nuclear weapons. They taught us that these weapons are too destructive to ever be used again. In Hiroshima, a flame burns in the Peace Memorial Park. It is called the Flame of Peace. It will continue to burn until all nuclear weapons are destroyed. People come from all over the world to see it. They leave with a promise to work for a world without war. Many survivors dedicate their lives to this cause. They speak at schools, universities, and conferences. They share their stories with anyone who will listen. They say, "We cannot change the past, but we can shape the future. Akiko often travels to other countries. She tells people about the day the bomb fell. She shows pictures of Hiroshima before and after the explosion. She says, "This is what war does. This is why we must choose peace." The world has changed since 1945. Many nations have nuclear weapons, but there are also movements for disarmament. Leaders meet to discuss reducing their stockpiles. Treaties are signed. These are small steps, but they are important. The survivors remind us that we cannot become complacent. Yuki says, "Peace is not easy. It is something we must work for every day. We must teach our children and their children to value it." Young people play a key role in this effort. They are the future. They carry the lessons of Hiroshima and Nagasaki forward. They join peace groups. They write letters to leaders. They march in protests, holding signs that say, "No more nuclear weapons." Koji's grandson is one of these young people. He says, "My grandfather's story inspires me. I want to make sure no one else experiences what he did. I want to build a better world." The lessons of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are not just about war. They are about humanity. They teach us to be kind, to help each other, and to never give up hope. They remind us that even in the darkest times, we can find light. The survivors are living proof of this. They faced unimaginable pain, but they found the strength to rebuild. They turned their suffering into a message of peace. Their voices echo across the world, reminding us of what truly matters. Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki stand as symbols. They remind us of the past, but they also guide us toward the future. They show us what is possible when we choose hope over fear, compassion over hate, and peace over war. As Akiko often says, the story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is not just about destruction. It is about resilience. It is about the power of the human spirit. The chapter ends here, but the lessons continue. Hiroshima and Nagasaki call on us to remember, to learn, to act. Their stories are not just theirs. They belong to all of us. Together, we can honor their message. Together, we can create a world of peace.